Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Engaging with Millennials. This week, we are going to be talking about the topic of how to discover your why. Now, the why topic has been around for a long time, and today I'm going to be interviewing a young man who has actually thought a lot about this topic and he has discovered what his why is. And today he's going to be sharing with us what his why is, how he discovered it, and we're going to engage in a lot of conversations around this topic. So please put your hands together to help me welcome Philip Tan.
Hello, hello,
Hi, Philip.
hello. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me, Vivek.
Hey, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Right. So today we're going to be asking you a lot of questions around the why topic. But before I go into that, maybe give a quick introduction about who you are and what you do.
Oh, yes. Hi, guys. My name is Philip. I just graduated from NTU Mechanical Engineering. So it's a bit different from what the career path I chose. And in the subsequent time, I will just explain a little bit, go into detail how I discovered my why.
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of people talking about the why, and there are two camps to it. Some people say it's important, some people say it's not important. So, is knowing the meaning and your why really the important for Gen Zs and millennials?
I mean, I've been thinking about this question. I think it's important because at the end of the day, I feel like that's the reason why we are driven forward. Because we should really think about what makes us get out of bed. Why do we wake up? Why do we go to work? Why are we slogging our lives to basically earn the income that we are looking for, lah, right? And we have been doing this, or we are doing this for perpetually, like a cycle. Like a cycle, we every day we wake up, brush our teeth, we take the transport to work, then work for 8 hours, 10 hours, and then we go back home, and all this in exchange for the guaranteed salary. So what I thought to myself was that the biggest question that I should ask is this really what we want?
Mm.
Is do we have that passion to do what we are doing, maybe at our the job that we're doing? So I think when we answer this question, right, we are on our first steps to discovering our why.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it all starts with self-awareness about really reflecting about who we are as an individual, what matters to us, and really thinking about why we do what we do instead of just going through the motion, being in a rat race. These are all the common cliche terms that we hear. So I want to ask you, right? Why do you think, in general for the entire Gen Zs and millennials, this is a really important thing because this has not been such an important thing for the older generations, but we are noticing that for the younger generations, doing something of impact, doing something of meaning is important. In fact, the great resignation, as we are seeing in the news today in the US and all over the world, is being, the reason they are saying is because I realize I want to do something with more meaning. Right, and I think that is very relevant, especially for the younger generation. So, what do you think are the reasons? I know you shared your reasons, but what do you think for generally? What is it going to be?
I think I can share a story about that. Like, I have a friend who has graduated for maybe about a year and a half. So
Hmm.
he was on a scholarship with a company, right? And at this point of time, he is in the dilemma whether he should break the bond that is with that company, because at the end of the day, he is not very happy when he's doing that job. It's not something that he actually wanted, but maybe when he was younger, when he was looking for the scholarship, it gave him that financial security at that point of time. But now at this stage, when he has worked this job, then he is not given a choice when he can whether he can choose to leave or not. He's stuck there. So he is in a position where he cannot choose for himself, and I felt like I could understand where he was going from. And because of that, he doesn't know what he want to do, whether he wants to break his bond, pay that compensate the company, and move on to something that he actually enjoys, or should he like stay on and finish that bond. So like at the same time, when we talk about all of this, we should really I understand why he is feeling this way. That's why we have these talks about great resignation, and people our age uh, face this kind of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not one or two stories. There are so many stories of people who have joined an organization, realize that they don't really like what they studied for, and then they don't know where they want to go next, right? It becomes a challenge to see, okay, what are my options now? It's like almost like a quarter life crisis where this is what I studied for. I did everything that I was supposed to do, but I don't know how to move forward from here because I realize this is not exactly what I want to do, but I also don't know where I want to move forward to, right? I don't know which direction to head in. So, Philip, you are someone who has discovered your why. You have been thinking about this topic. You have been very diligent about this. So, can you share with the rest of us how did you go about, finding your why and getting that level of clarity, that high level of self-awareness?
Hmm. I think for me it was quite simple because I like a lot of my peers. We have some working experience, like in be it part time internship or like maybe attachment with a company. So for myself, I didn't really like the idea of working a 9 to 5 job. Like I value family time, freedom, control over my time, and all these are something that I like to prioritize. So besides these few points, I feel I like to have something that pays me an income that is equal to my effort that I put in, right? And this means that a 9 to 5 job cannot really provide something with this point that I want. And however, being realistic, right? I know that I have to be realistic at the same point, right? I can't be naive and think that uh, everything will go my way. So I have to find something that can fund the lifestyle that I want, right? So these few points that I mentioned gave me a starting point to find out my why.
Oh, wonderful. I really believe that, doing part-time jobs and doing gigs, right, actually help us to really understand a lot more about ourselves and, help us realize this is the kind of job I like to do. This is the kind of job I don't really like to do. So there's a little bit of experimentation going on, even though you are not fully committed, like your friend, right, who fully committed, right,
Yes.
this X number of years, cannot do anything. If you do also, it'll be a huge consequence. But the gig economy has actually allowed us to experiment and see what we like, what we don't like, and quickly make fast iterations around this topic of identifying the why. And I'm so glad that you have been able to find out what is important to you, right? Because your effort has to equal the kind of income, and you have to find something that really suits you, your personality and your style. And talking about personality, right, have you heard of the term ikigai, the Japanese term? And how did you hear about it? What are your thoughts around this word of ikigai?
Yes, Vivek, I have heard of this term before. Like for the audience, those who are unaware, Ikigai is a book of wisdom that examines the importance of Japanese culture, places that on four intersecting tenets. And based on for your question of where I got this from, is I was introduced this to by my father.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah. So
interesting. So your father passed you the book about it, and then you managed to learn more about it.
yes, and I also went to like watch some videos, read some things online, find out a little bit more about this concept.
Yeah. So ikigai and discovering our why, I think, basically very interconnected in the sense that ikigai is basically a sense of having the meaning in our lives, right? I think when you have all the four components of your passion, understanding your strengths, understanding where you're going to get your income, and giving back to the community. Once you have all four of these things kind of aligned together, and you have a rough idea of all these areas, you are known to be experiencing ikigai because you're doing something that you really are in complete alignment with. I think that's the understanding of ikigai. Am I right?
Yes. Partially I covered some of this in the previous question, but just to go a little bit further about Ikigai, it's my understanding of it is it's about balance. Everything is about balance, whether it's between your vocation and profession, passion and your mission, right? And then we also must do what we love and also find meaning in it, right? So all of
Yeah.
this is basically us trying to answer our calling and also earn a living, right? But
Yes.
and then at the same time, right, even though I so-called gained the understanding of this, I still understanding myself. I am still understanding myself a little bit better every day lah.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey of continuous
Definitely.
learning, as we say. So, Philip, I'm very curious to understand, like, when it comes to the passions and strengths, right? How did you go about identifying what are your passions, what are your strengths? I mean, it's easy to say, okay, I want to join this job, I want to have this as a career. It's easy to say, like, okay, maybe I want to contribute to this kind of a cause. But when it comes to your passions and strengths, people actually struggle to identify what are their top 10 strengths or what are their top three strengths. So, how did you actually go about finding all the answers to these questions?
I think a lot of times that there are too many distractions along the way, like whether it's our hobbies, and then we see people monetizing their hobbies. So like we feel like, hey, should I monetize my hobbies too? Like earn from from this lah, like you say, a gig, right? So along the way, I think I found myself when I was going through my university education. I also thought that reading books helped me a lot to gain a different perspective and frame the way I think and I speak. And so all this indirectly gave me or helped me to identify my passion.
Mm, right. Any books you want to like recommend that was very useful for the rest of us in the audience?
Off the top of my head is there's this book called Head Start. It's monthly. It's a book with 31 days of motivation or motivational quotes. So I recently
Mm.
just read that. So I read like one a day to at least understand a little bit more about motivation and how to keep myself going.
Oh, wonderful. I also recommend the book Ikigai. There is actually a book on Ikigai. In fact, there's quite a few books on Ikigai that actually go into detail about how you can find the answers to your questions, because this is a little philosophical as well. Right. Now we are going to bring on board, on stage, another person, a mentor, to ask him some questions about this same topic. So please put your hands together to help me to welcome Victor Lim. Hi, Victor.
Hey, hi.
Hi, Victor. Thanks for joining us on this conversation about discovering your why. Victor, I want to ask you, right? The why topic is usually associated with the younger generation. They always like to ask why, and they are always thinking about their why. So, for you, right? Did you know your why when you started out in your career?
When I started out, I only know that I knew that I just needed money. So back then, those days are different from today, right? We do not have the luxury of asking why I must do this, why I must do that. We just know that I need money, I need job, I need to pay my bills. My mother is expecting me to bring home money every month. So we got no time to think about all these things. So we only got time to go out there and just earn some money.
Hustle, yeah.
Yeah, so you asked me when I started my career, do I ask myself why? I never did. But I know why it's important to have money during
Mm,
that time, right? So really, we didn't have the luxury.
yes, yes,
Now it's different. Now we live in a whole new world. The younger
yeah.
people like Philip, all these guys, they are different. They are smarter than me compared to my early days. Well, like, I'm like pretty dumb. I just need to know that I got to pay bills.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, Victor, why do you think the younger generation is a lot more focused on topics like identifying their why and the meaning?
This is another generation. They're so different from me,
Mm,
right? They know a lot more, right? Now they can know everything. Just Google only. They find all the answers like that, right? So back then we don't have Google, So
yes.
if you don't read a lot or you don't have a lot of friends who will tell you, then I think that kind of information is not as accessible compared to today's world. And of course, the education system is also different. I think that really people are a lot more well informed. Yeah.
Mm,
So they are really different from us. Or I think that they can ask these questions better than us. So I do
mm,
understand that today people are different. They're looking for more than just money.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we are much more well-to-do compared to a few decades ago. So the focus may have also shifted to more higher philosophical questions amongst the younger generation because the basics have been already covered, right? Covered by the previous generations in that sense. Okay, now I'm curious to know, like, how do you help others within your team to help them discover their why? Because I'm sure some people will be struggling to find that direction. So how do you help them to discover their why?
Yeah, a lot of us, we are all like we brought up differently. We have different makeup and we have different desires. We also have different sets of skills, right? Different kind of knowledge that we have acquired over the years. So I think the important thing is for everybody to understand themselves much better. Now we have this thing what we call, we thought we understand ourselves, we understood, but actually there are a lot of blind spots, right?
Mm, mm,
And it's like, you wear a necklace, right? Only the people out there can see what you're wearing. You can't see it yourself, right?
yeah.
So sometimes it's good to really have somebody who can actually help you understand yourself. So I think that we do personality profiling, and
Mm,
especially interested in the Enneagram that I've been doing the last couple of years. I've been coaching a lot of young people and a lot of students, a lot of uni students. And last night I just did one session. I think the person was very appreciative of what
mm,
he
mm,
discovered about
mm,
himself
mm,
in a
mm.
much deeper way that I believe that it has not been told him.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really, yeah. So there are really like basic core 9 types plus
Mhm.
wings and everything. So like it's 20 over. But we all have a core
Mm,
motivation
mm.
to do something, why we do certain things. So I think the important thing to discover your why is to first understand yourself much
Yes,
deeper.
yes, yes. And can personality profiling also help us to understand our strengths? What are we good at, or what are the things that come easily to us?
Certainly, we all have our fair share of strengths and weaknesses. Some of us have more strengths. Some of us have a lot of weakness. We sometimes do not know where to start to save ourselves because there are so many, perhaps, bad habits or traits that I would consider it unhealthy.
Mm,
So when a
mm,
person have a lot of unhealthy traits and
mm,
they are not
mm.
aware of, imagine the damage they will do to themselves and to all the people around them, maybe their families, maybe the people closest to them, even their colleagues, right? So it is so important for everybody to understand what are their healthy traits, what are their unhealthy traits, and we can work on those unhealthy traits and capitalize on what we are really naturally good at or we're motivated or inspired to do.
Mm,
So we need
mm.
to know ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I believe that we are actually offering free coaching on personality profiling session. It's not just do the quiz and get the answers from the in an email or in a PDF report, but actually having one-to-one conversations to really ask your doubts, ask your questions, right? So for those of you who are here tuning in. You just have to scan the QR code that you see here, and you will be able to fill in those questions just to get to know you a little bit better. And when you do the quiz, you will also get to have a one-to-one coaching session as well, which I believe is free, correct?
Yes, this first session is complimentary. Uh, the amount of time that I spend, I really enjoy it because I have given something to people to understand more about themselves, and I think they're really glad. It's just like got a smart boy I spoke to last night, a uni student. He was really appreciative. Yeah, I think he enjoyed the session. So I would say that it's a great session. It's great time spending, right, to understand yourself a lot more. because that is going to bring out the best version of yourself when you
Yeah.
do this session. And that's the goal, to
Yeah.
understand yourself and then be the best me that I can ever be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm coming to our final question, which is to the both of you, right? What is your one tip for the rest of us watching, right? For the rest of the audience watching, what is one tip for them to help them discover their why?
I go first, Victor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
For me, I think it's quite simple. I would let the audience know they should sign up for this Enneagram, because I myself have benefited from it. I received the coaching and I understand myself, my strengths, and my passion a little bit deeper through these coaching sessions. So that's my advice to the audience.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, and what about you, Victor? What is your one tip for everyone watching?
We have all 24 hours a day. Okay. So my tip is really to ask ourselves this question. Is it worth to spend 1 hour of your life to understand yourself so that you can live that many, many more hours in a very productive, a lot more meaningful and purposeful and an enjoyable journey, not only for yourself, but with your loved ones around you. Because when they understand you and you understand them, that can really, bring forward really a great journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that, having a better self-awareness, we should use whatever resources we have around us. And I believe that this personality profiling tool is one of the most recommended tools to help people understand a lot better about themselves and definitely help them to identify their why. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this short conversation on how to discover your why. I believe everyone who's been watching and engaging with us has gotten a lot of value from you. So thank you for joining us, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, take care.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Philip. Yeah.
Bye.